From translation, TLB, the Living Bible. This 80th day of the year. Today we are reading passages, Judges 8 to 9. Judges chapter 8, verses 1 to 35. Then the men of Ephraim came to Gideon and said, "Why have you treated us like this? Why didn't call on us when you went to fight the Midianites?" But he answered them, "What have I done now compared to you? Isn't even the gleaning of grapes of Ephraim better than the whole vintage of Abizer? God gave you victory over Oreb and Zeb, the two princes of Midian. What could I do compared to you?" When they heard this, they calmed down. Gideon and his 300 men, exhausted yet pursuing, crossed the Jordan and arrived at Succoth. He said to the men of Succoth, "Please give some bread to your brothers who are exhausted, and hold out a little bread for those who are following, until we all get back." But the officials of Succoth replied, "Are you already in possession of Zebah and Zalmunna? Why should we help you?" Then Gideon replied, "When the Lord has given Zebah and Zalmunna into my hands, I will tear your flesh with the desert thorns and briars." From there he went up to Penuel and made the same request, but the men of Penuel answered him as the men of Succoth had. So Gideon said to the men of Penuel, "When I return victorious, I will tear down this tower." Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karka with a force of about 15,000 men, all that were left of the armies of the eastern peoples. 120,000 swordsmen had fallen. Gideon went up by the route of the nomads east of Nobah and Jogbehah and attacked the army unexpectedly. Zebah and Zalmunna fled, but Gideon pursued them and captured the two Midianite kings, Zebah and Zalmunna. Gideon son of Joash then returned from the battle by the pass of Heroth. He captured a young man of Succoth and questioned him, and he wrote down for him the names of the 77 officials of Succoth, the elders of the town. Then he went to the men of Succoth and said, "Here are Zebah and Zalmunna, whom said you would not help." He took the elders of the town and taught the men of Succoth a lesson by punishing them with desert thorns and briars. He also tore down the tower of Penuel and killed the men of the town. Then he asked Zebah and Zalmunna, "What kind of men did you kill at Tabor?" "They were like you," each answered, "with faces like the faces of sons of a king." Gideon replied, "They were my brothers, the sons of my mother. As surely as the Lord lives, if you had spared their lives, I would not kill you." He said to Jether, his oldest son, "Get up and kill them." But the boy drew his sword and did not, because he was only a boy and was afraid. Zebah and Zalmunna said, "Come on, do it yourself, as a man kill us." So Gideon got up and killed them, and he took the crescent ornaments off their camels' necks. The Israelites said to Gideon, "Rule over us, you, your son and your grandson, for you have saved us from the hand of Midian." But Gideon told them, "I will not rule over you, nor will my son rule over you. The Lord will rule over you." And he said, "I would like a request of you. Each of you give me an earring from your share of the plunder." It was the custom for the Ishmaelites to wear gold earrings. They answered, "We'll gladly give them." So they spread out a cloak, and each man threw a ring on it from his plunder. The weight of the gold rings he asked for came to 1,700 shekels, not counting the ornaments, the pendants and the purple garments worn by the kings of Midian, or the chains that were on their camels' necks. Gideon made the gold into an ephod, which he placed in Ophrah, his town. All Israel prostituted themselves by worshipping it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and his family. Thus Midian was subdued before the Israelites and did not raise its head again. During Gideon's lifetime, the land had peace 40 years. Jerubbaal son of Joash went home to live in his own house. Gideon had 70 sons, his own offspring, for he had many wives. His concubine, who was in Shechem, also bore him a son, whom he named Abimelech. Gideon son of Joash died at a good old age, and was buried in the tomb of his father Joash in Ophrah of the Abizrites. As soon as Gideon died, the Israelites again prostituted themselves by worshipping the Baals, setting up Baal-berith as their god. They did not remember the Lord their God, who had rescued them from the hands of all their enemies on every side. Nor did they show kindness to the family of Jerubbaal, Gideon, in spite of all the good things he had done for them. Judges chapter 9, verses 1 to 50. Now Abimelech son of Jerubbaal went to his mother's brothers in Shechem, and said to them and all his mother's clan, "Ask all the citizens of Shechem, which is better for you, to have all 70 of Jerubbaal's sons rule over you, or just one man? Remember, I am your flesh and blood." When the brothers repeated all this to the citizens of Shechem, they were inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, "He is our brother." They gave him 70 shekels of silver from the temple of Baal-berith, and Abimelech used it to hire reckless scoundrels, who became his followers. He went to his father's home in Ophrah, and on one stone murdered his 70 brothers, the sons of Jerubbaal. But Jotham, the youngest son of Jerubbaal, escaped by hiding. Then all the citizens of Shechem and Beit Millo gathered beside the great tree at the pillar in Shechem to crown Abimelech king. When Jotham was told about this, he climbed up on the top of Mount Gerizim and shouted to them, "Listen to me, citizens of Shechem, so that God may listen to you." One day the trees went to anoint a king for themselves. They said to the olive tree, "Be our king." But the olive tree answered them, Should I give up my oil, by which both gods and humans are honored, to hold sway over the trees? Next, the trees said to the fig tree, Come and be our king. But the fig tree replied, Should I give up my fruit, so good and sweet, to hold sway over the trees? Then the trees said to the vine, Come and be our king. But the vine answered them, Should I give up my wine, which cheers both gods and humans, to hold sway over the trees? Finally all the trees said to the thorn bush, Come and be our king. The thorn bush said to the trees, If you really want to anoint me king over you, come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, then let fire come out of the thorn bush and consume the cedars of Lebanon. Have you acted honorably and in good faith toward Jerubbaal and his family? Have you done to him as you promised? Remember that my father fought for you and risked his life to rescue you from the hand of Midian. But you have risen against my father's family this day. You have murdered his 70 sons on a single stone and have made Abimelech, the son of his servant, king over the citizens of Shechem, because he is your brother. If you have acted honorably and in good faith toward Jerubbaal and his family, then rejoice in Abimelech, and may he rejoice in you. But if not, may fire come from Abimelech and consume you, the citizens of Shechem and Beit Millo, and may fire come from you and consume Abimelech. Then Jotham fled, escaping to Beer, and he lived there because he was afraid of his brother Abimelech. After Abimelech had governed Israel 3 years, God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the citizens of Shechem, who acted treacherously against Abimelech. God did this in order that the crime against Jerubbaal's 70 sons, whose blood had been shed on a stone, might be avenged, and that their brother might rule over them. The citizens of Shechem set ambushes for him on the mountain tops, and robbed everyone who passed by along that way. And this was reported to Abimelech. Now Gaal son of Ebed moved with his brothers to Shechem, and its citizens put their confidence in him. After they had gathered the grapes and had trodden them, they held a festival in the temple of their god. While they were eating and drinking, they cursed Abimelech. Then Gaal son of Ebed said, Who is Abimelech? And who is Shechem that we should be subject to him? Isn't he Jerubbaal's son, and isn't Zebul his deputy? Serve the family of Hamor, Shechem's father. Why should we serve Abimelech? If only this people were under my command. Then I would get rid of him. I would say to Abimelech, Call out your whole army. When Zebul the governor of the city heard what Gaal son of Ebed said, he was furious. Under cover of night he went out and arranged ambushes against him and his men in the fields. The next day Gaal and his men came out into the fields, and when Gaal went out to attack Abimelech, Zebul said to him, You see the men coming down from the mountains. Look, Gaal, there are men coming down from the tops of the hills. Gaal said, We see some people coming down from the direction of the center of the land, and another group is coming down the road from the oak tree in Elon. Look, Zebul said to him, You see them. But Gaal said, Men are walking in the middle of the field, and I see some others coming down from the center of the land. Then Gaal said to Abimelech, Advance. Lead your army. Abimelech advanced against him, leading his troops, and Gaal confronted him, fighting with him. Abimelech chased Gaal, and Gaal fled before him, and many fell that day, about 10,000 men. The battle spread out over the countryside, and Abimelech attacked the city and captured it. Then he killed the people of the city and tore it down, and sowed it with salt. When all the citizens of the Tower of Shechem heard about this, they went into the stronghold of the temple of El-Berith. When Abimelech heard that they had gathered there, he and all his troops moved up to Mount Zalmon. He took an axe and cut off some branches, which he loaded on his shoulders. He ordered the troops he had with him, Quick, do exactly what you have seen me do. So all the people cut branches and followed Abimelech. They piled them against the stronghold and set it on fire with the people still inside. So all the people in the Tower of Shechem died, about 1,000 men and women. Next Abimelech attacked the city of Thebez and captured it. But just as he was attacking the stronghold, a woman dropped an upper millstone on his head and cracked his skull. He quickly called to the young man bearing his armor, Draw your sword and kill me, so that they can't say, A woman killed him. So the young man ran him through, and he died. When the Israelites saw that Abimelech was dead, they went home. Thus God repaid the wickedness that Abimelech had done to his father by murdering his 70 brothers. God also made the people of Shechem pay for all their wickedness. The curse of Jotham son of Jerubbaal came upon them.